Why isn't the administration more angry at the North Koreans or the Russians, etc.? But when you have a close friend or a husband or a lover, and you just are frustrated with them, then I think you see this kind of outcome.
I get that, but when was the last time you had anybody from the administration say anything nearly as critical of the Iranian regime as what they just said about Benjamin Netanyahu? I mean, when was the last time you heard it?
And the answer is you haven't. And, you know, it's not surprising that there are some trying to defend this. Joining us now, Jonathan Tobin, columnist and senior online editor of Commentary Magazine. Jonathan, this remark by a senior administration official calling Benjamin Netanyahu chicken blank. You know, I heard Kerry disown it and say it's outrageous. I heard the State Department, the White House spokesman. Well, then why don't they find the guy who said it and fire him or her?
Well, there's a good reason for that, because he's part of the inner circle, whether it's Ben Rhodes, the Deputy National Security Advisor, or someone else working in the West Wing. We know he was reflecting the views of the President and Secretary of State Kerry. They all hate Netanyahu. They've made no secret of it in the past. There are so many levels of outrageousness to this. You know, we'll set aside the obvious for one of the minions of President Mom Jeans to be accusing a wounded former combat veteran of a special forces unit of cowardice is pretty crazy.
Yep.
But leave that aside. This whole thing is merely a cover for the incompetence and failure of this administration. They're the ones who've screwed up the relationship. They're the ones who have made all these mistakes, and they keep trying to blame Netanyahu and Israel. It's not Netanyahu who, you know, they say he's weak, but it's not he who's appeasing Iran. They say he's an obstacle to peace, but he's the one who goes to the table, agreed to their settlement freeze, did really everything they wanted, but they refuse to give him credit, and they keep lauding Mahmoud Abbas and the Palestinian Authority, even though they're the obstacles to peace. They're the ones who screwed this whole thing up, but they're obsessed with blaming Netanyahu for their own failure.
But Jonathan, when you come in my view, despising the state of Israel and everything it stands for, thinking that Israel is the person you could take out all your hatred for imperialists throughout all of time, as Obama's mindset through his father's teachings and writings, in my view, convinced him. When you can't pick on Great Britain short of sending back a bust, but you could push little Israel around, that's what he intended to do, and that's what he's been doing. Look, Jesse Jackson said before the election in 2008 that if Obama wins, and I'm paraphrasing, Israel's influence in the Middle East and in the White House will be much, much less.
Well, you know, the funny thing about all of this is that we're focused, and rightly focused, on the outrageous nature of this, how undiplomatic and all, you know, all the obvious things about it. But the fact is, it's not Israel who has alienated the Arab world. It's America and Obama. It's not Israel that did any of this stuff. This is the natural consequences of Obama's antagonistic policies toward Israel and his willingness to withdraw from the Middle East. He's done all this. This is all his doing. And yet he is focused on blaming Israel because he just can't stand it. I mean, Aaron David Miller, the veteran peace processor, said he's the first president we've had in a long time that isn't in love with the idea of Israel. And that's really true. He's not only not in love, he's kind of in hate with it.
I couldn't agree more. All right, let's turn to your great piece at Commentary Magazine about Hillary and her fake populism. You know, you refer back her attempt to walk back her statement the other day, where she very deliberately and definitively and with forethought said, don't let anybody tell you corporations and companies, businesses create jobs. She knew what she was saying.
Oh, of course she knew what she was saying, but the point about all this is not just that it's, you know, economic claptrap. Of course businesses create jobs. Government doesn't create jobs, at least not jobs that mean anything or can last. The point is that she was with Elizabeth Warren. She was campaigning. She's trying to secure her left. So she's playing the leftist, just like when she was First Lady of Arkansas, she used to affect a draw. The thing that this tells us are two things. There are two conclusions to be drawn from this that have nothing to do with the economic nonsense that comes out of her mouth. It has to do with, one, her complete inauthenticity. I mean, she is full of it. No matter where she goes, she's like a chameleon. She's Zelig, the old Woody Allen character. She tries to blend in wherever she goes, and that's who she is. There's not an authentic bone in her body. Secondly, she's a terrible politician. She's awful. She's always making mistakes. She's having the Democratic nomination handed to her on a silver platter. No one serious is daring to oppose her, but yet she's a mistake machine, which should tell Republicans something. Yes, they have a stiff challenge ahead of them in 2016, no matter who they finally nominate. But Hillary Clinton is eminently beatable.
Right, and Jonathan,
ask Barack Obama.
Reince Priebus was on the show, chair of the RNC, the other day, and he said there's no one we'd rather run against than Hillary Clinton. He said she's a bad politician as well. Jonathan,
I think they might rather run against Martin O'Malley, but...
Great talking to you, Jonathan. We'll speak to you soon.
Great.
All right, folks, Jonathan Tobin, and we will be back with more, much more, in fact, of the Steve Malzberg Show after the break. But first, with the midterms coming up next Tuesday, we continue to provide better coverage than anyone else. That's Newsmax TV, that is. And we're going to check in on the New Hampshire Senate race with our road to the midterms. Here it is.
New Hampshire's senior senator, Democrat Jeanne Shaheen, is the epitome of an American politician. She began her political journey in 1976 when she worked on the Jimmy Carter campaign. She won her first race in 1990, and she's the only woman in U.S. history to have ever served as governor and as senator. Republicans knew they would need to bring in their own experienced politician if there would be any hope of defeating her. Former Massachusetts Senator Scott Brown was up for the challenge, and a challenge it's been. Brown started out in this race trailing Shaheen by double digits. But now that Election Day is practically here, that lead is all but gone. A collection of polls on RealClearPolitics.com shows Shaheen is still in the lead, but most of the time it's not outside the margin of error. There's a lot riding on this race. Republicans need Shaheen's seat if there's any chance of them flipping the Senate. In these final few days, New Hampshire voters are likely to see a barrage of negative ads. A political science professor told Fox News negativity just might be the key to winning because negative ads are designed to keep an opposing party's moderate voters at home.